the question of how to increase your size, investing, trading, how to get past the comfort zone. Everyone has a comfort zone, a kind of a go-to that they always do for things. And to get past that, it makes sense to have a plan, right? And have a systematic plan. And it's comfortable. Human beings are always really comfortable with plans, things that they feel connected to and something that they can measure. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way for this stuff. And you probably knew that was coming because everything's kind of counterintuitive that way. But the reason why I've tried sizing plans so many times, and when I say sizing plans, I mean like if I make money 3 days in a row, if I was day trading, I move my size up the fourth day. It doesn't work. I'll get into that in a second. All that stuff just doesn't work. What works is, well, let me get to what works in a second. But in terms of why that stuff doesn't work, it's because the whole game isn't like that. I mean, when I used to be day trading, I'm not doing that as much anymore. I'm doing longer term stuff, investments, position trading, things like that. But it's really the same idea. And when you want to move your size up, you have to have a process and a system that you understand. And you're basically looking at the process. And when lots of things line up in the process, then you trade bigger. When you might be trading bigger at a time when you don't expect to, because you see a lot of different things working or not working as they're supposed to, and that might signal you to a trade that that really fits what you're doing in a big way. But when you just go on momentum or what you're doing, it's like you're betting the biggest just when you had a hot run, which likelihood is you're going to have a bad run and you're going to be trading the largest and give all your money back. And even more important than that is why it doesn't work is because we're emotional creatures. So here's the thing you can do to have a plan. If you want to have a plan when you're losing. That's the best place to have a plan. So when you're losing, one thing that worked really well for me and still works is when you're losing, just stop the bleeding. Take a day off if it's bad. If it's a little bit of like a punch in the leg, you can come back the next day, you trade smaller, or you just really wait for something. You write down on a piece of paper what you want to do and you make sure you just stick to that, or you don't do anything if it doesn't manifest. So that's one way you can get through that and just get the momentum going. It's like you haven't gone to the gym in a long time. We'll just do 2 push-ups, something, right? It's the same concept. It's having that low bar and get your confidence back. If you really struggled, and this is kind of you fell down a set of steps, maybe 2-3 steps, you get up, you shake, you walk it off, you fall out of a window and you break your leg, it's kind of hard to walk that off. If you start running on it, you're really going to have a problem. So that's why on the losing side, it's really important as you start losing more and more and you're struggling, you got to cut that size down and down. So it's so small where it means a little bit to you still. So it's not like paper trading, but because I always believe in having skin in the game. That's paper trading having no emotions, you might as well not even do it. If you're testing a system or you're quantitative, that's very different. But we're talking about discretionary trading here, where the human being is making the decisions and there's emotions involved. When that's happening, you want to get that size down when you're losing because you don't want to have it become really bad. The whole game, the point of the game then is survival. It's just to make it to another day and get your confidence back. Because confidence and conviction are everything in this world. So having a plan for that. So something like, if I have 3 trades in a row where I lose X amount of money, I cut in half and then I cut in half again and then I just stay there until I figure it out. And then you just, when do I go back up? You just kind of know. And it's the same thing. The answer to the moving up is you'll just know to move up. You'll move up because you're consistently doing the right thing and you can't help yourself but do it a little bit bigger because everything's lining up in your process. And then you start going bigger. As your account moves up and you make more money, you start taking bigger positions. You just do. That's the way it's worked for me. I've seen it work for a lot of other people. And when I've seen and tried to march it up just based on momentum, and it feels like you're forcing it. Because think about it. What if there's a great market? In a great market, everyone makes money. Idiots make money. People who are kind of idiots make money. People who are really good make a lot of money. And that's the way it works in any business, really, when it's really loose and there's money flying around. And then the minute you have a tough market, a tough period, or a bear market or something, the professionals just get by, everyone else gets flushed out. So in that market, think about how much that impacts your sizing. So if you're just going on how you're doing, that's not really going to take into account that market either. So having the market align with what you're doing is super, super important. Like, give me an example of what I mean here. So like you have a goal, I want to make X amount of money this year. Maybe you're basing it on how you did last year or the year before. Well, that's a silly goal to have because if the market's good, you might make 5X. If the market's bad, you might make 1/5 of X. And then you're judging yourself, but really, are you that much better or that much worse? Or is the market just really tough? So it's not a fair question. Instead, you have to focus on your process, doing what you're saying you're going to do, getting out when you say, waiting for the things that line up, and working on that kind of stuff. Like, think about this. A CEO in technology in the late 90s was a genius. Everything went up, right? Think of a CEO in the automotive industry in the last few years. Well, even before that, when those GM and Ford were sinking. You could be the best CEO in the world, not really getting a lot done because you're fighting the tide. It's a tough business. So you could do it for coaches in a sport too. You have all this talent on your team. You look like a great coach. Well, maybe the best coach is the one who's keeping a really crappy team with no talent to have an average record. But if you're just basing yourself on wins and losses, you wouldn't know that. So that's why it's important to structure this the same way. Evaluate yourself by the week if you're day trading, not the day or the month. I think the week is good. If you're longer term, evaluate yourself on the month or the quarter, and really stick to like what you want to do and focus on that process. Focus on doing the things each day that you've determined that are going to make yourself successful. And if you're struggling, you cut down. You can cut down, I think you should cut down purely based on bad results, because eventually just losing money beats you up and takes you out of your process and you have more problems. But when you're doing well, then if you're not very experienced and very knowledgeable about yourself, you start to get euphoric and make bad decisions at the exact time that you're trading bigger. And that's not good, because we all know that's when the worst stuff happens. You have the worst losses in a lot of different areas when you've had a lot of success. And it doesn't mean like right after, it could be a little while after too, but when you're riding high, you make bad decisions. It's just, you don't see the downsides. You don't see everything clearly because you think you got it figured out. So have a plan for the downside, let the upside take care of itself, focus on the process. That would be the overall message.